If you think you know what community policing is, think again. For years, it's been misunderstood, reduced to a few officers attending community meetings and events, seen as a side project, or dismissed as soft policing. But here's the reality. Community policing is not just a unit. It's not a policing tactic. It's not a nice to have. It's a must. It's the foundation of everything we do. It's how we build trust, improve safety, and prevent crime, not just today, but for the long term. According to policing experts, if police services in medium to large cities don't fully embrace community policing as an organization-wide approach, they'll be stuck in a cycle of reaction, crisis response, and rising policing costs. This presentation will show how the community safety and well-being, or the CSWB approach, makes it an organization-wide responsibility. Because policing isn't just about enforcement. It's about prevention. It's about partnership. It's about being proactive. Let's step back into history for a moment. Policing has existed in some form for over 5,000 years. However, in 1829, the principles of community policing were formalized with the basic understanding that community safety is a shared responsibility. Over time, things changed. In the 1960s and 70s, policing leaned too heavily on suppression and enforcement, eroding public trust. Community policing was reintroduced to rebuild that trust, but instead of being embraced service-wide, it became isolated into one community policing unit. This led to a divide: hard traditional policing versus soft community policing. Fast forward to today, and experts reaffirm that by definition policing is community policing. The difference is that now, it must be an organization-wide approach. This means that community members, with the assistance of police and a variety of other agencies, collaborate to reduce risk factors that may lead to crime and social disorder before crises occur. You might be thinking external collaboration makes sense, but how every police member on the inside has a role in community policing? The simple answer is that the optimal way for all members from across the service to engage in community policing is through the Community Safety and Well-Being, or CSWB approach. This means the CSWB framework is not just for the units in the CSWB branch, it's for the entire service. The CSWB approach views the community issues as a continuum, starting upstream with the root causes, which are structural and systemic inequities and lack of opportunities. The root causes lead to disparity, quality of life issues, social disorder, and several other symptoms, including poverty, homelessness, mental health, and several other behavioral issues. These issues then escalate to crisis situations of crimes and violence downstream. The numbers tell the story. Social disorder is rising, by as much as 80% in some cities. This is where the CSWB approach introduced 4 levels of interventions. Within the police services, every directorate and unit has a role, corresponding to one or more of these 4 levels of intervention. The first level of intervention is social development for upstream work to improve social determinants of health and safety and address the root causes of structural inequity at the system level. The second level is prevention. Police and social service agencies work midstream with communities to mitigate risk factors that lead to social disorder and crime. The third level is risk intervention downstream, which means stepping together in before situations escalate into crime and violence. The last resort level downstream is incident response. Responsible services kick in when all else fails. This is when enforcement and emergency services intervene. The question is why this matters now. All stakeholders have to act to address the ballooning social disorder together. Without joint preventative work, the cost of incident response will become unsustainable over time. This means, if we fail to act together upstream, policing will remain reactive, communities will lose trust, and costs of traditional policing will skyrocket. Therefore, we have to embrace all 4 levels to prevent crises before they start and reduce calls for service. Police play a role at every level. For incident response, frontline officers are visible to the community. But tactical, investigations, intelligence, guns and gangs, drug enforcement, and community safety services, like the mental health unit, support frontline work. For risk intervention, police services have neighborhood response teams, which are supported by data analysts, youth engagement teams, intelligence, communications, and community police officers. For preventative and proactive policing upstream, police services have community police officers and community engagement staff supported by community relations, crime prevention, youth, and diversion teams. The CSWB teams act as support services to the other directorates and the community, and their work cuts across all these levels of intervention. Community Youth Unit, for example, dedicates 80% of its work to social development, prevention, and risk intervention, with only 20% focused on incident response. Mental health, crime prevention, and other specialized teams collaborate to build trust and develop long-term solutions. Units like sexual assault and child abuse focus on enforcement and investigations, but also contribute to prevention through education and outreach. This approach helps us frame our work differently. By working across all 4 levels, we challenge the misconception that policing is only about enforcement. This shift justifies police role, opens doors to collaboration, and ensures better resource allocation. This shows us the reality of modern policing. Of course, when it comes to crime and social disorder, incident response is our core responsibility. Similarly, when it comes to social development, community agencies are the primary responders. But neither can succeed in isolation. Both sides require collaboration at every level. At this point, you might be thinking, this sounds like a lot of work. But here's the truth. We're already doing this work. Everything you've heard in this presentation, from intervention to prevention, from risk reduction to enforcement, is already happening across our service. We don't need to create new programs, policies, or procedures from scratch. What we need is a shift in perspective and a unified approach. This means 3 key things. Recognizing the interconnectedness of our work, seeing how different units and roles reinforce and support each other. Reframing how we present our work to the community, so they see the full scope of what we do, not just law enforcement. Aligning priorities with the community, identifying shared success indicators, and engaging them in setting the direction. When we do this, something powerful happens. The community begins to see policing in a new light. They feel a sense of ownership and partnership in public safety. Trust is rebuilt, not through words, but through action. The CSWB framework isn't extra work. It's the foundation of everything we do. It's time to make it a shared mission.